Well, good evening, everyone. I hope you're doing well. And this is your Royal Daily News for November 14th, 2022. In London, Buckingham Palace released a new photo of His Majesty King Charles III of the United Kingdom on the occasion of his 74th birthday. The stunning image of His Majesty the King standing under an ancient oak tree was taken this morning by well-known royal photographer Mr. Chris Jackson. Buckingham Palace also announced that His Majesty the King has officially become the Ranger of Windsor Great Park, 70 years after his father, His Royal Highness the Prince Philippe, Duke of Edinburgh, was appointed to the post. The Ranger of Windsor Great Park offers insight and guidance to the Deputy Ranger and his team in the day-to-day stewardship of the country's oldest landed estates. The role at Windsor can trace its roots back to 1559, when Sir Henry Neville was appointed Ranger in the reign of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth I. Over the last 460 years, the post of the Ranger has been held by the Sovereign and other family members, including the King's father, His Royal Highness the Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, and his grandfather, King George VI. Mr. Paul Sedgwick, the Crown Estate's Managing Director, Rule and Deputy Ranger of Windsor Great Park, said, quote, "Windsor has a wonderful heritage with many precious natural habitats. His Majesty's passion and commitment to the natural world will be invaluable as we seek to become a center of excellence for the environmental best practice, preserving and enhancing the Great Park for generations to come." End quote. Windsor Great Park is a very popular destination for visitors, with over 5 million people visiting each year. It's free to enter and open all year round. It is home to magnificent horticultural displays, woodland shores, historic features, wildflowers, and deer. Previous rangers include, from 1746 to 1766, William Augustus, Duke of Cumberland. From 1837 to 1841, and from 1841 to 1861, both Queen Victoria and her husband Prince Albert, the Prince Consort, were also rangers. From 1936 to 1952, King George VI. And from 1952 to 2021, His Royal Highness the Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. Meanwhile, in the House of Lords at Parliament, Lord Parker of Minsmere, the Lord Chamberlain of the Household, read aloud a letter from His Majesty the King requesting that he would be, quote, "most content," end quote, if the number of Counsellors of State be increased to include, quote, "my brother and sister, the Princess Royal, and the Earl of Wessex and Forfar," end quote.
To present to your Lordships a message from His Majesty the King, signed by his own hand. The message is as follows. To ensure continued efficiency of public business when I am unavailable, such as while I am undertaking official duties overseas, I confirm that I would be most content, should Parliament see fit, for the number of people who may be called upon to act as Counsellors of State under the terms of the Regency Acts 1937 to 1953, to be increased to include my sister and brother, the Princess Royal and the Earl of Wessex and Forfar, both of whom have previously undertaken this role.
The King's letter was also delivered to the House of Commons, with the Leader of the House, Miss Penny Mordaunt, informing the MPs there would be legislation to follow. According to various sources, over 3 weeks ago, His Majesty the King had intentions to seek extra Counsellors of State, but today's reading is a formal request. The current Counsellors of State are Her Majesty the Queen Consort of the United Kingdom, His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, the Duke of Sussex, the Duke of York, and Her Royal Highness Princess Beatrix of York. According to the BBC News, it is expected that the Lords will reply on Tuesday, and the same day could see the government introducing legislation in the House of Commons, with a Counsellors of State bill paving the way for the King's proposal for 2 extra working substitutes. This rapid move in Parliament is intended to resolve an awkward constitutional problem about who could deputize for the King if he were overseas or unwell and could not carry out his duties as head of state. The Counsellors of State can carry out official duties, which could include the state opening of Parliament, signing of documents, receiving ambassadors, or attending Privy Council meetings if the monarch is temporarily ill or abroad. In Den Haag, Her Majesty Queen Maxima of the Netherlands, in her capacity as the United Nations Secretary-General's Special Advocate for Inclusive Finance for Development, sent a pre-recorded video message to those attending the B20 Summit Indonesia. The theme of this year's summit is Advancing Innovative, Inclusive, and Collaborative Growth. In her video message, Her Majesty the Queen speaks about the importance of putting in place a digital finance infrastructure that is inclusive, safe, and equitable. Key highlights in her message include inclusive digital infrastructure in concert with digital financial services, making a remarkable difference for people and small businesses. A broad range of financial services, such as savings, insurance, and credit, are needed for individuals, households, and SMEs to fully benefit from the digital economy. Public-private collaborations, which are key for innovation and scale. In Amsterdam, Her Royal Highness Princess Beatrix of the Netherlands attended the 24th edition of the Dutch Ballet Gala of the Stichting Dansersfonds 79 held at the De La Mar. In Ibeas de Juarros, Her Majesty Emerita Queen Sofia of Spain, as Honorary President, presided over a meeting with the Board of Trustees from the Fundación Atapuerca. In Copenhagen, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Frederik of Denmark met with the Danish men's national football team this afternoon before they depart for the World Cup in Qatar. In his social media post, the Crown Prince said, quote, "The team is sharp, the mood is high, and you don't need to wear red and white glasses to have high expectations for a Danish national team that plays well, is a fantastic team, and is hungry to follow up on the EC success from last summer. As I have emphasized several times, the national team has my full support regardless of where in the world they play. This time, I am looking forward to cheering on the team from my home. And I wish Kasper Hjulmand and his squad all the luck and success. Let's go, Denmark." End quote. Yay! In Brussels, His Majesty King Philippe of the Belgians met with the Belgian men's national football team before they depart for the World Cup in Qatar. In Grand-Saconnex, Her Royal Highness Princess Benedikte of Denmark attended the 75th anniversary celebrations of the Danish Church in Switzerland. Yesterday's celebrations were marked with a service inside the chapel at the World Council of Churches Ecumenical Center. The chapel was designed by Danish architect Mr. Erik Møller in 1965. And finally, in Amman, His Majesty King Abdullah II of Jordan, as the Supreme Commander of the Jordan Armed Forces Arab Army, visited the Civil Defense Department to check on its readiness to deal with various incidents. During today's visit, His Majesty the King was briefed on the department's plans and projects to further develop services. His Majesty the King also commended the civil defense personnel's professional response to emergencies, which contributes to saving lives and minimizing losses. And there you have it. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I will be back tomorrow on Tuesday, November 15th, with all the latest royal news, and it's going to be a very busy day. In fact, it's going to be a very busy week. Starting tomorrow, we have a state visit to Jordan. Sweden's going over to Jordan for a state visit. We have events with Her Majesty Queen Margrethe II of Denmark, 2 events in Norway, 3 events in Belgium, and then, of course, in England, the United Kingdom, whatever you want to call it. We have the Earl of Wessex, we have the Duke of Gloucester, the Countess of Wessex has 3 events, and, of course, the fabulous Princess Royal has an event as well. And then later this week, we have events in Monaco. We've got National Day coming up, and prior to National Day, there's a bunch of events going on. So, yeah, it's going to be hectic, and I will be here. So, with that being said, have a wonderful evening, everyone, and a great day tomorrow. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Okay, take care, everyone. I will see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.